Dungeons & Dragons Starter Set Heroes of the Borderlands is an incredible return to form for D&D. I was blown away when I opened this box by the print quality, the heft and weight, the content, the overall presentation, the amount of art in here, the art style, the volume of it, how much is new art compared to art that we've seen before. And when I did my review, I came to the conclusion that I think even though this is a lot pricier than other starter sets, I think it's worth every penny I've spent on it at least. And in this stream, we'll go through what's in the box and I'll answer your questions. If you have anything that you want me to show you, I've got the box just here in front of me and I'll be cutting to this angle to show you what's in here and give you an in-depth look on the whole thing. But before we get properly started, I want to tell you that, first off, welcome to Mystic Arts. This stream is sponsored by Wild Magic Reimagined Kickstarter. My name is Daði. I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for over 10 years. And if you've got questions about the starter set, post them in chat, and I'll make sure to answer them. But while you're doing that, let me tell you about this stupid dream I had 6 years ago. I remember waking up at one point. I promise this is going to be relevant to D&D. But I remember waking up at one point and having this vision about the sun in the night sky, the sky breaking apart like glass, and in it you could see through the night sky the sun of tomorrow's morning, and titans fought in it. And I built this whole campaign around it. And the idea was that it was the end of the world, right? It was the sphere, the fabric of our reality that sort of shattered. And I spent years of in-game time, I think it was 3 years IRL, building up to that moment when the gods fought in the sky, and it was a blast. And then I get asked to tell you folks about the Wild Magic Reimagined Kickstarter, the sponsor of today's stream, and it has the exact same motif on the front, and I was blown away. This dynamic and versatile system is used for adding unexpected magical effects to your game. It's compatible with both editions of D&D 5th edition, Level Up Advanced 5e, and Tales of the Valiant. It's complete with options for players like subclasses, the Chaos Theorist Wizard and the Dread Bargainer Warlock. But there's also loads of support for Dungeon Masters, like dozens of monsters and magic items. There's 700 effects you can add to your game. They come in neutral, positive, and negative variants, so you have a little bit of leeway and control over how exactly things play out. I think there's also like 35 magic calamities, like the sky breaking apart, which, that sounds like a magical calamity to me. It even comes with adventures, so it's good bang for buck. Go check them out. There should be a link in the description, and I'll post one in chat right now. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Logo comes back. Look at that. Watson needs to buy more 2024 cards. You'd buy all of them. Yeah. Let's have a look at that. Look at those cards, because I was really blown away by the whole thing. So in here, first off, you've got cards, you've got all these play guides, these adventure booklets, Caves of Chaos, Wilderness, and then you've got the sort of bottom of the box, which kind of looks like a board game. These are fantastic. So you've got the on your turn, hang on, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to the camera here, the on your turn trackers, and I remember seeing these and thinking this is exactly the kind of thing I print out for my players and hand over to them when they're starting for the first time, when somebody's never played D&D before. This is perfect. Let me see if I can get you a look at that. There is all these kinds of tokens for like terrain. So there's web in here and a hole. Tokens for monsters. You get your dice, obviously. And these are brilliant. I'm sure they'll end up doing these things. I don't know about the like hand crossbow one or you know, the regular items, but the spells at least, right? Look at that. That looks great, right? For these over here, you've got the Detect Evil and Good. And then you got the spell on the back. I don't know if every spell would fit on this. Like Wish, for instance, is ludicrously long. I don't think you'd be able to fit the whole thing on there. That seems crazy to me. Hey Juan, I'm glad to hear that. Invisibility. Hang on. Look at that. You flip them over. You can see on the back, you can see how the spell works. Lesser Restoration. I don't know what these symbols mean. Are they all just a symbol for... Oh, it's like AoE symbol. Touch symbol, I guess. Self. Ball. Right? I think these are fantastic. I noticed some things yesterday. I was showing this off to my players. We just had the sort of last session of Everlasting's Act 1. And I sat down afterwards and I was showing them the box. And we noticed a few inconsistencies. Let's have a look at the monster cards. I hope you like Daði messes around with box, because that's what this stream is going to be. So you got these. Will I be able to fetch them out of here? Oh, there's a little lip. I just couldn't see it. So there's a bunch of these. I'm going to put a handful of them aside real quick. You can see these, and they've got little art on them. So like here's a commoner, for instance. And I know there's commoner art in the monster manual, but this lady isn't that, right? She might be on that picture, but I don't think so. There's an ogre art in the monster manual, and that's different from this guy. I was very happy seeing all this. I was kind of blown away by it. And there's a few things that I noticed that sort of bugged me a little bit. Thanks, MTG Veteran. Yeah, this is one of our new cameras. This is the Lumix S9. And I have two of them. I meant to have another one over there to be the key camera. And I spent all day trying to make it so that both could work. And I bought some splitters, USB splitters and stuff like that. And we couldn't get a single one of them to work. So I'm a little disappointed the face isn't in the same high quality as this camera, but here we are. Oh, yes, I was going to show you. So there's a couple of things that I noticed that I think you folks would get a kick out of seeing if you're the same kind of nerd as I am. For instance, in the marketing, you might have seen this. The jelly cube, not a gelatinous cube. And I was wondering why that was. Why'd they call it a jelly cube and not a gelatinous cube? And I went and flipped it around, and I checked it out in the monster manual, and I saw that the AC is the same, the hit points are the same, stats are the same, pseudopod's the same, but then instead of having an invisibility trait and a cube trait and all those things, they just have an engulf trait. And they sort of try and summarize as best as they can all the parts of a gelatinous cube in this one section here. It's fairly close. There are a handful of things that I think are missing here, but they've sort of had to constrain all the text. And that's probably the restriction of having these cards. Like if you wanted to do an Ancient Red Dragon, it might be very tough to get them all fitting on a card this size unless you make the font very, very small. Is red or blue in use tonight? This is red. Blue is just over here. I was trying to get this one to plug in as well, but could not do it. So another thing I noticed, for instance, there's new Koatoa in here, the Koatoa Marauder. There's not a Koatoa Marauder in the monster manual, and this one looks to be a new sort of... Can I get the light on it? Yeah. A new sort of stat block. It's got a different kind of action on it, a brine slicer, which I don't think is any on any of the other monster manual Koatoa. So I was kind of just surprised to see this in general, because I would have liked more Koatoa in the monster manual. And in the same vein, there's a lizard folk monster in here called the Lizard Folk Warden, which is a CR1 lizard folk. And it's the first CR1 lizard folk in the new edition, right? The 2025-2024 lizard folk are CR4 and CR2. And at the top of that section, you're told that these two lizard folk are elemental, but most other lizard folk are probably just humanoid. And you're told to, in the back, you're told to replace lizard folk in old adventures with humanoid monsters. But here we go, here's a CR1 regular lizard folk, and he's an elemental. So I think they're probably leaning over to all lizard folk being elemental, which doesn't surprise me. That's probably how I'd end up running them whenever I get around to making my own lizard folk stat blocks, which I've been working on. I've got a whole bunch of minis here for exactly that sort of purpose. Trying to get them here in camera. These are Ivar's minis. And he's been painting a whole bunch of these. We've got here, I think these are all like Warhammer, I forget what the faction's called. Skinks. So eventually I'll get around to these, but I want to make like 30 stat blocks, and I haven't gotten started because we don't just have lizard folk over here. I've got just slightly off camera. I have the like a T-Rex thing. These are not in the starter set. These are Warhammer minis, but I get really excited about them. So eventually I'm going to go finish those stat blocks. Hey, Private 13. Question: how does the exploration part of the adventure work? Do you think it'll fit together with your hexcrawl rules? No, I don't think so. So this is the sort of adventure module, the wilderness. And it's got this map on it. And yeah, I can see here it's about 2,500 feet, this ruler. So I think this is about 1 hex in size, if it's a 3-mile hex. So I don't think that works at all. The exploration part in general is players are somewhere. Let's say they're in the keep. They want to go to Tamarack Stand. They tell the DM, I go to Tamarack Stand, and the DM then can run an encounter that's a part of... Hang on, let me just get the full table view. The DM can then run the trail, which sort of gets you partway there, and then they can run the Tamarack Stand wilderness encounter, which is sort of one of the last ones. And it's just a combat. Like, you can do some roleplay, you can talk to these guys, but in general, each of the exploration encounters in here is some variation of you are here, and you go here, and that is the extent of your journey. Correction, lizard folks are elemental in 2025 Monster Manual. That's not true. Let's go to D&D Beyond. Screen recording? Hang on, I have to go... Where? Lizard folk. Many lizard folks are humanoids with varied skills, but some forge powerful bonds with the plane of Earth, granting them magical connections to the cycle of growth and rebirth. So, many are humanoids, and if you go to the monster conversion table, and you find lizard folk, it says use a scout, which is a humanoid. If you're swapping a shaman or a king or a queen out, you use the geomancer or the sovereign. So, kind of rules as written, it is assumed that in standard lizard folk are humanoid. Yeah, so the wilderness encounter, in general, this is just a map, and you point at a location, you say, we go to the fence. And the DM goes, alright, you go fight the fence encounter. You are now fighting the fence. So at that point, it's sort of, I don't know that this is an exploration adventure at all, if I'm honest. It almost feels just like a string of combat encounters that happen to be not in a dungeon. Which, by the way, is not a bad way to do exploration. It's not a bad way. It's not a bad way to do overland travel, I should say, because in general, traveling from location A to location B, even in a movie like Lord of the Rings, where the most exciting parts are they run around, that's just a drone shot and Howard Shore cooking it on the score, and then we cut to the exciting bit. Right, the journey from Riverfell to Moria consists of 2 scenes. One of them is a random encounter on a mountain peak, and the other one is a random encounter when Boromir is training the hobbits. That's about it. This here takes that approach. It works perfectly fine. The thing that I think is a more exploration-like module is the Caves of Chaos, because in every single one of them, in each cave, you go to a location, you explore the location, and while in the location, you learn things. For instance, this is my favorite encounter. I actually opened it right on my favorite encounter. This is the Ogre Lair. Obviously, if you're going to play this, spoilers. This is the Ogre Lair. And you can meet an ogre here, and you could fight it. It's got the stat block of an ogre. Here's the stat block, right? So you can fight this guy. Or you can talk to him. And you learn that Ugdug sad. If a character asks Ugdug about either one of the off-limits caves, he says there are caves that he thinks are off-limits. The ogre signs mournfully and tells him his tragic story. And it's got a little story in it. All of the caves are like this. They all have these sections where you don't know what you're going to find. You go in uncertain. You might end up fighting. You might end up having an encounter. You don't know, and you're trying to differentiate one from the other. That's exploration. This is perfect for that. This is an excellent exploration module. But in general, I don't think We Painted Everything Green is an exploration module. I like this fine. This is awesome. I want to run this. I want to run all of these caves. I really like them. Kembar After Hours. Just bought the digital edition, hoping to persuade one of my players to start DMing it. Hell yeah. Tell him you'll do one of the modules. It's written in such a way that you could do one module, and your friend could do another module. Have him look at the cover, Kembar. Have him go look at these covers. Hang on, this is better on the table camera, right? Have him go look at these covers. Say which one is exciting to you. Whichever one isn't, I'll go run that one. Are the adventures connected? No, they're not. There is a vague sort of theme of chaos across all of the adventures. I keep bumping the mic. I'm sorry if you're getting your eardrums blown out. I'll try and stop. There's a vague sort of connection across all of them. If there are people in here who want to play, I probably shouldn't spoil it, but there is a reference to a thing in one of these modules inside this module. There's a reference to one of these encounters inside this module. That's the kind of stuff you're looking at. If you do the encounters in different order than alphabetical, which is what it's got to be in some order in the book, so that's what it put them in. If you do them in a different order, it's not going to matter. You're not going to break anything. You're not going to break apart the whole adventure just because you run them in a wrong order. But the same thing is that there isn't really a story through the whole thing. It's more that it's just this sort of bunch of little sections, and the story is whatever you and your players do at the table as you play. I think that's perfectly fine. I wish for a starter module it had an on-ramp, and I wish it had a climactic battle at the end. There is a climactic battle in one of these sets, and that might be at the end, but it isn't necessarily, and it's not really written in such a way that it's easy for new DMs to understand that that's supposed to be at the end. Same with there's a good first cave in here. There's a good first encounter in here. And there's a good opening encounter in here. Each of them have tutorials, teach you how to play, but there isn't really an on-ramp. There isn't a way that the book says, I want you to start here and then go here and then do this and that and this. Velitus, are there also roleplay heavy modules? Yeah, the Keep in the Borderlands is the sort of roleplay module, and that's how they marketed it, and it's 100% correct. There are fights in here. There is exploring in here. You're exploring the keep. But if there's one module where you're mostly just talking, it's this one. And they do it pretty well. My favorite thing I noticed when I was reading this is that, they got these lovely watercolor maps. And the whole thing is a bit whimsical. So if that's not to your taste, you might check out. But my favorite thing is, so they got this encounter at the start. Hang on. Look at all these tutorial bits. I love them. I love to see them. This is brilliant. You want to teach your players how to roleplay going through a settlement? Animals snuffle, cluck, wink, and moo inside the stalls of this spacious barn, which smells of leather and manure. A freckled halfling woman uses a pitchfork to unload hay from a nearby wagon into an empty stall. She wipes the sweat from her brow and extends a heavy sigh. It says right here. Right, this is the barn. It's the services the barn offers. Then it goes, Quest. Billy Goat Wranglin'. After introducing herself and explaining the barn's services, Cornflower confesses she could use the character's help, reads the following text aloud. Last night I accidentally left the goat pen unlocked, and this morning all the goats were gone. And the quest is, help her get the goats back. There's one goat per player character, just by sheer coincidence. And you roll a d12 for where the goats are, for each goat. And there are 12 keyed locations on this map they could be at. You just pick a key. There's a 13th one where they can't get in. But everything else has a key. So you just roll a d12. Oh, I got a 10. That means they're in this building over here. What's that building? It's the guild house. So now the players find a goat outside the guild house, which means you now explore the guild house. And then you run that section. And you've got a whole page on what's there, including, I don't know if you can see, a new quest. That's a brilliant way to do exploration. That's a brilliant way to do exploration in a town. They put the goats in there. It's the second thing you see. You walk in, as soon as you're done with the first encounter, you see the lady with the goat pen. She's, not feeling good. And now you're on a quest to go get all the goats. And the only way to get all the goats is by going and looking around town. And then you get to introduce all the NPCs. You get to meet everybody. And suddenly, you are just playing exploration in a town. I think that's brilliant. I think it's an excellent way to do it. So, is this the roleplay module? Well, it's got a whole bunch of exploration in it. Go find all the goats. Where are the goats? Follow the tracks. There's a roll you can make to see if you can track down the goats, depending on where they moved, etc. Apologies if I answered this before I got here, but do the NPCs in the Keep have names? They didn't in the original and the Goodman Games release of B1, B2. I was talking to Rich from Renegade Rolls, and he was telling me that, yeah, in the original, the Castellan is just called Castellan. But in here, they do have names. Let me go find the Castellan. Making sure not to show off everything, just so Wizards of the Coast doesn't get antsy with me. But here he is. Human Castellan. Vinvarl. They all have names. More than that, they all have a little bit of description on the back on how to roleplay. What does it say here? The Keep's noble commander leads his soldiers whenever the Keep comes under attack. And he's got two traits. Idealistic. Winvarl's ideals are rooted in lofty notions of righteousness. Winvarl is also oblivious. While he excels at battle strategy, Winvarl scarcely knows the inner workings of his own keep. And he's got a couple of rumors on him. The cult of chaos is an affront to all that is good. And then it says in brackets, true. He's got a second rumor. Anyone can pledge to defend the keep. Talk to Andrella in the inner gatehouse if you'd like to join the keep's defenders. True. So all of them have little rumors. So if you go talk to these guys, let's say you go talk to Cornflower, the lady with the goats, and we've got art of her. It says human halfling barn hand, Cornflower. She's a spunky stable hand. Blimey. Animal lover. She loves animals. Idiomatic. She likes to use animal idioms such as busy bee, chicken out, and hold your horses. That's funny. She's got a couple of rumors too. I'm willing to bet most of these people have rumors. So walking around the keep, you roleplay these guys, and they start pointing you in all kinds of directions. I genuinely think that's brilliant. I think it's an easy and digestible way to get to know a character, figure out what they're about, and sort of get a sense of how to roleplay them as best as possible. Twilight Princess minigame. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Rachel. 100%. I think it's brilliant. I think it's an excellent thing. And it's also just very illustrative to new players, not just new DMs. To new DMs that like how to run a town. But new players of going like, hey, when you go to a town, go walk around. Go see what's out there. Cute character design. Oh, all the characters in here are adorable. Hang on. This one I think is AB's favorite. Tell me if you can figure out why. I think we know why. I think we all know why. Arms, yeah. It's another one she liked. I think she really liked the Castellan, but I've already showed you the Castellan. Oh! Here's another one I know both AB and Anna, who's moderating, both really liked. Tell me if you can work that one out. I wonder what it is that they like about this person. Which is also just a great thing, right? You know, hey, welcome to D&D. Look, it's got hot people in it. I know we're all a bunch of nerds, but in the game, you could be anybody. Arms. I think I dropped something in here. It's unstable. It did. Token. The one thing I don't like are these hit point tokens. I understand that players like chits. So I wonder if this is going to be great for somebody who likes that kind of thing. But for me, I don't know that that's appealing. Yeah, we played Smash or Pass on these yesterday. On that's right, we did do that. You can just go to Fantasy Tinder, apparently. Nothing's stopping you. What else do you want to see? Are there hit point tokens for every single hit point? Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole boatload of these. There are tokens for player characters. They've got these little standees on them. You got tokens for the gold pieces. So you got a 1 gold piece token. And you can get a 5 gold piece token. Focus. There we go. And you've got hit point tokens for all the hit points. You get them in 5s or 10s or 2s. And you get this, which they call a power token, which is like if you action surge, you use one of these, or if you cast a spell slot, you use one of these. There are dice. Yeah, let me show you. Let me get together the dice. And I'll show you the combat tracker as well, Rachel. The dice set. They look decently shiny. They feel a little cheap. They feel kind of like Chessex dice. Nothing against Chessex dice. I own like 13 pairs or something. They're perfectly serviceable. They're well legible, which I really like. And you've got 2d20s, which I still can't believe the first set didn't have, but all subsequent sets did, so they clearly learned the right lesson there. They also have 4d6, which is the same as the Essentials kit had, but in the Essentials kit you can make characters, so I don't know why 4 and not 3 or 5 or whatever. And then you got these here, including a percentile, and there's a d4 in here as well. Yeah, they are quite good looking. It's not a given that they get shiny, clear dice in sets like these. They often are cheaper than this. So these are decently nice. But if you have seen the Essentials kit dice or the Stormwreck Isle dice, I think these are actually legitimately the exact same. I was going to show you. How the player characters work. So if you run a monster, like fighting a kobold and a lizard folk, you just have these tokens. Kobold token, lizard folk token. But the player characters are that shape. Because what you do with the player characters is you grab them, and you grab this little city standy thing, and you cross-section them like this, and then you plop them down, and they stand. Look at that. 4 for character creation. You can't create characters. It is impossible to generate stats in this. If you don't know how D&D works, there's nothing in here about ability scores. So if you want to roll 4d6 to roll for stats, there's no rule in here for how to turn whatever you rolled into a stat. The stats on the character sheets have only the modifier. Yeah, I can show you. I haven't forgotten about you, Rachel. What? +3. +2, -1, +0. In fact, I was having my friend Magnus look up yesterday, Magnus and Ivan. I was telling them, all right, strength is normally 15 times, or your carrying capacity is normally 15 times your strength score, but there's no strength score on here. So what's my carrying capacity? How much can I carry? Well, if you look it up in the play guide, you will find literally no mention of encumbrance anywhere. Not under C for CA, carrying, climbing, charmed, cantrip, no carrying capacity. Not under E for encumbrance. Emanation, enemy, exhaustion, no encumbrance. Same with just jumping. Just jumping. L for long jump, high jump. They've changed the rule, so it uses your strength modifier. It's 3 plus your strength mod here, which I think is actually same as usual. Long jump. You jump a number of feet equal 5 times your strength modifier. So there's no ability scores anywhere in this set. If you don't know what D&D is and you've never played before, this set will not tell you what ability scores are, or how you get them, or where they come from. And you don't get an ASI. So, all of which is a little bit scary to me. It's like, okay, so if you want to take this character, and you're going to level him up to level 2, well, okay, you flip it over. And you're going to level him up to level 3, well, you pick a subclass, and you get a second sheet. And it's this way, or it's that way. Like, those are the 2 subclasses. But if you level them up to 4, you have to do an ability score improvement. And there's no way anywhere on the sheet where you can know what to put your ability score improvement in. How many cheese wheels are considered unreasonable? No rules for it. It's probably fine, since all the gear in here is a card, so I don't think it's really easy for you to mess that up. Or, like, get a whole bunch of stuff. Rachel, combat tracker. This is a thing that I see a lot of people talk about, and it's pretty cool. This is just your initiative round. So you've got a little column here for initiative. Combatant, so you put your player character name, or kobold, or goblin, or whatever. Hit points. especially if you're tracking the monster's hit points. That's probably smart. Conditions. Now, I guess if you're tracking the monster's hit points, this is all the space they give you. That means you have to like erase and write it again. I don't think that's great. I probably wouldn't have needed this big condition bar, and I would have just wanted to write the hit points continually as they go on. That's how I tend to track hit points. I just write down the maximum hit points, and then I count upwards towards it. And here you can see cleric, fighter, wizard, warlock, no, rogue, wizard, success, failure. And you can track their death saves if they're dying. And then when you're done, you get the sheet, you just peel it off, then you have the next one. And they've got a crap load of these. So I don't think you're going to run out. I think you could run this set probably 3 or 4 times without running out. So that's how that works. There are rules for it. The rules are don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it. How many cheese wheels can I take? Don't stop it. An owlbear comes. Is this tacit confirmation the difference between ability scores and ability modifiers is inherently confusing? I don't know that they're keeping that a secret, I'll be honest. Every new game that comes along uninvents ability scores. All of them. Shadow Dark, Daggerheart. If they have it, they don't have the other score. So in Dragonbane, they've got the ability score, but no ability modifier. So in general, I think every game you try, D&D is the only one who's got 2 abilities, 2 ways to calculate your ability stats, which is bizarre. And I was teaching a new player how to play the game the other day. Well, she wasn't a new player. She played a whole campaign before, but that was several years ago, and she never made a character on a sheet. And she was just lost in the sauce, especially of the ability scores, and like getting the background and the class like feat improvements and what stats to put them in, all of those things. Oh, AB wants me to show you the art she's making. AB is sitting behind me right now. She's got on headphones. I think she's drawing. AB, you want to say hi?
Yeah.
She waves. Blurry wave. She's doing art for art school. AB's in art school now. I'm going to have to remove my background. Look. What are you drawing? Is it for like, what's the assignment? It's like making a brand?
To make a matchbox design.
Matchbox design. Flaming hot. This is a person burning out their retina. 60 pack. Is that like 60 matches in a pack?
He was like, you have to put text on it. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll put text.
That's great. I like the eyelashes. Huge art fan. Yeah, she's been drawing a lot lately. I believe she's having a blast in school. She's doing photography now, so she's borrowing the Mystic Arts cameras and getting to practice photography, and then we can have her film more handheld. She does a bunch of filming handheld, for granted, whenever we do. But I often have to help by setting up the exposure and stuff. And I don't want to help anymore. I'm done with that. You want to see a map? Look at these. God, the art in this is incredible. Yeah, no fun allowed. It's even more than that, actually. Hang on. You know what they didn't put on this sheet? Now that you say that. You know what they didn't put on the sheet? Anywhere? Visions bonus. I don't think they ever explained what that is. I'm going to go check the play guide, actually. They just say, you have +3 strength, +5 strength save, +5 athletics. They don't say where those numbers come from. I don't think you need to know when you're still trying to figure out what die is the one you roll. I don't think you need those things. So as a starter set, I think it's the right call. but I feel like it's the kind of thing people will then slowly mess up on. Like, there are plenty of players I know that we all started learning how to make characters on paper, and those players in general have a better grasp of the math of the game than the ones that started on D&D Beyond. That's not true, like, universally or anything, but in general, those Venn diagrams seem to line up. But that might just be a correlation, not causation, just on account of the fact that the people who started on paper started a longer time ago. Yeah, I don't see proficiency bonus anywhere in here. Yeah, look at this. These are great. They're massive, too. I don't think I can, like... Hang on. This is why I have this angle. Yeah. Look. You got the door. You got this pile of money. You got this egg here. You got the back end of the dungeon here. The entrance down here. Look at that. You can take the whole thing. Flip it. Another map on the other side. I think this might be the Nothic layer. The Mythic layer. It's got an arrow slit here. Look at that. A lot of the times when I'm looking at this kind of stuff, especially if we're like being reached out by sponsors or stuff like that, the thing I'm thinking about is like, does this make me want to run D&D? And this is exactly one of those things, right? Look at all the stuff in here. You've got these beds, you've got this little like thing. I just want to put this in front of my players and see if they don't get excited about it. Right? That's sort of like what I'm thinking about with this whole set. Why I got so excited about it is that I'm looking at it and it's a bunch of basic stuff, but it makes me want to go show this to my players and see if they don't get excited and see if they don't get hyped up by just the various things in here, the excellent art on these maps, or the keep map they have here on the half poster maps. Like, I want to put this in front of some people and be like, look at this. Where are you? You are here. You're going here. There's a little market stall in between. I just, this gets me excited to run D&D. And that's often what I'm looking for when I'm browsing for stuff on the internet. It's like, am I getting excited about the idea of running this? Sometimes you just need a little bit of extra finesse. Sometimes what you're looking for is extra chaos. And if you want to add more chaos to your game, then you're in luck, because there are a few days left of the 5e compatible Wild Magic Reimagined Kickstarter. It's got new subclasses for players, monsters, DMs, 700 wild magic effects with negative, positive, and neutral variants. And there are so-called wild magic calamities, which is exactly the kind of thing where you're like, now there's a new thing you can get excited about, because there's something exciting you could show off to your players. And there's 35 of them. You could use them to define your campaign by building campaigns around them and around an idea where magic went wrong. If you think that's evocative as hell, if you think that sounds awesome as I think it does, go ahead and click the link in the description or the one in chat and go show them some love while they're still open on Kickstarter. Anyway, same with this. It's all really exciting stuff. Love access to more physical maps like that. Making terrain. I love making terrain, but it's when something's 1 or 2 sessions, these would be golden. Yeah. I draw all my maps. I wouldn't if I ran this set. I'd run these as just ad hoc. But I once bought like a map pack with a whole bunch of maps in it, and it was good fun because I just I was able to use those for a bit. I also once bought like a bunch of cardboard token things that I would sort of stick next to other tokens to make dungeon rooms, and they'd all sort of attach. I just knocked everything over. And you'd sort of bump them together and create rooms out of it. Thing is, I don't prep enough to do that. I'd love to be able to just do the Matt Mercer thing and have like Dwarven Forge. I think even if I had a bunch of Dwarven Forge, I don't know if I'd have the time to do it. I always fill my schedule so to the brim. I'm like, I'm gonna not just make more videos. I'm gonna go put stuff on the Patreon. I'm gonna go make Magic Item crafting rules. I'm gonna go make a new zine. I tend to fill up my schedule so much that even if I had Dwarven Forge, I don't know that I'd use it. As cool as it is, maybe the same with these maps. You know, maybe I'd probably use it. I don't know. Wouldn't it make sense to create maps digitally and print them out? Yeah. I don't know. If you want to, you'd have to get a pretty fancy printer or go to like a print shop per session. Sometimes I'm running 3 or 4 sessions a week, so I wouldn't really be able to. I'd much rather put my time on in prep and just writing down my lore or ideas or whatever, and then writing down scenes or NPCs or characters, drama, encounters. Drawing on the spot seems time consuming. I usually only draw on the map like once per session. I tend to call a break. So I go, everybody take a break. That means everybody queues up for the bathroom or goes to the kitchen to get a glass of water. I have 7 players, so everybody going to the bathroom takes, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Which is plenty of time for me to draw out the entire map, just using my sort of map food techniques that Chris Perkins taught me. Not personally. I read an article. Yeah, MB3 for UK. Is it lead speak? I don't know. It's about getting newbies excited, and then once people are hooked, you can tell them about it. Ability scores. Yeah, I think that's the right call. I think you're right. It makes me a little anxious, I'll be honest, but I think it is the right call. And the idea of like, when I'm thinking about this set, I'm often thinking about like, not just kids, because I don't know. When I was starting out, I was 16, and I had no interest in anything called simple. I wanted Pathfinder, and I wanted to read the core rulebook. I wanted to learn all the spells and see what they did, and I wanted to play a wizard, and I wanted to read everything. And that was exciting. But for this, I'm often thinking like, what would my dad enjoy? I've been meaning to go tell my dad that I want to run a game for him for ages, because I think he'd get a huge kick out of it. And I think he's exactly the kind of nerd that would like this. I just think he doesn't know it yet. And I think he gets turned off by all the random math nonsense. He thinks it's more complicated than it is. So I like the idea of going to visit him, bringing this with me, and going, Dad, do you want to play a little bit of D&D? In fact, I'm going to visit him tomorrow. Maybe I'll just spring this on him. AB, what if I run the starter set for Dad tomorrow?
Yes, yeah.
Nei, pappi, ef þú ert að horfa, ég ætla að ranna D&D fyrir þig. I tried to run a game for him once, and he it wasn't D&D. It was we didn't have any of the stuff available. I could bring this box. It all fits in one box. I could take it with me. I could take it with me to Scotland if I wanted to. Run a game for Rich. That sounds great. So we didn't have any of the set with me or anything like that. So I ended up sort of quickly making a roll under D6 system that we could use. And I ran a game for him, and he sort of gave up on he was like, "Oh, I don't get this kit stuff. Bah, I don't understand nothing." And then he went up to go to sleep. And then it was a zombie apocalypse game, and then the people were like, the other players who were still playing, they were like, "What if we leave the house and we go run over to the car?" And then if my dad from upstairs goes, "Can't go to the car, there's a bunch of zombies in the way." So he was listening to the whole game, and he already knew the premise and the story and the plot, but he decided it wasn't for him, even though he was invested. So I genuinely think he would get a kick out of this, and I think I should run it for him. And when I do, I'm going to test my version of how to run it, because I do have a working theory on the best way to run it. And that is, you grab Wilderness, you don't read the opening blurb that goes, what do you want to do? Here's Daði's guide to how to run this. I might turn this into a video, but maybe this is just all it's going to be. And you say, you are on this road going here towards the keep. Or maybe it's this road going here towards the keep. And further, the road goes to the Caves of Chaos. But you're heading here towards the keep. And I think you could do the Talkative Traveler, any of the other trail encounters, but I think you skip all of them. You start with the Bandit Ambush. You have Prowl show up. You want to see the Prowl stat block? Oh, because it's got art on it, it takes no time at all to just sort of shuffle through them like this. Find whatever you need. He said, unable to find what he needs. I had him earlier. Oh, there he is. There's Prowl. You have this guy show up. And he says, hello. He's wearing fancy green robe. He says, hello, I'm Prowl. Perhaps you've heard of me. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course you have. Then he draws a sword and says, your money or your equipment, please. This is a robbery. And if you try and attack him, he fights you back, right? It says he tisks in disapproval and draws a sword. He snaps his fingers, and there are some other bandits that come out of the woods. And now you're fighting bandits. You do the fight, and then immediately you go to the keep. You do the entry into the keep. You don't do all of the town just yet. Maybe you do the goat thing. But you head on over to the fortress, where you meet Vinral, and Vinral tells you about the Caves of Chaos. And you can go to Cave 1 and have a proper 5-room encounter, dungeon crawl. I think that's a blast. I think you could do all that in no time at all. I think it sounds like a good one-shot. That sort of would be my immediate take on it. Chipao, you draw right on your table and then cover it until your players explore the room. I haven't done much covering of it. I have a few Chessex maps, like rolled up battle maps, and I have the table, and sometimes I draw right on the table. I do that plenty of times, actually. Occasionally I draw on a poster map, and then I roll it up, and I put it in the corner, where they always are. And then when they walk into the dungeon, I say, aha! And I go grab a poster map, and it's ready. But that is very rare, if I'm honest. Most of the time, I just say, let's take a break, and then I draw on the map. Usually, I'm not really prepared at all. I usually just have some stuff written down. That's about the prep for my session. Hey, that sounds awesome, Sel Dorsey. Christopher Roche? Grosh? That's that S symbol, right? My vault got transported from Tiddlywiki, it's called, remarkably enough. So I don't think I would actually be able to see it grow over time. Video for teaching parents how to play D&D. I'm not going to say older parents, because my dad would be very disappointed if that's what I thought of him. He's a young and hip and spry man. Do you have video or content for pets or party companions, how to run them? Not pets specifically, but I do have video on sidekicks, and that's probably how I'd run a pet. Honduras. Hello, Honduras. So, Sultan, go check out our sidekick video. It's called Sidekicks Cure Your Player's Murder Hoboism, or something like that. But it boils down to I use the sidekick rules from Tasha's, and they're designed to do exactly this, and I'm very happy with them. I have to tell you a story. I got a nose cast done. I think that's what it's called. A friend of mine uh, named Sylvia came into the office the other day. Well, I say the other day, last Halloween. Uh, and she was dressed as Gandalf. And she came in with, the hat and the staff, big beard, and remarkably, she had a big prosthetic nose. And I thought, where'd you get that? Uh, and I was saying it would be great if I could borrow it or something at some point because I use props when I'm DMing. I have like a cigarette and a pipe and a hat and a gun and I like having stuff that I can grab. Sometimes I take my glasses off, I pull them down my nose, and I pretend to be old. I do stuff, and sometimes I adjust my position to play a guard, or I slouch back to play a crime lord. So I'm often using my body language as much as I can. And it'd be great if I could say, "Oh, you meet a dwarf or a wizard or whatever," and I go and put on a nose. And she said, "Well, my dad makes it. My dad made this nose, and this guy he's like a props master." And she said, "How would you like to come over? And he can make you a nose." And are you kidding? Yes. I go to this guy's house and he's got like jars of hag's fingers, and he's got this tub with like a giant toe in it. It looked like a potion of hill giant strength. It had like a toe this big in it. And he just makes this stuff. And I was kind of blown away, and I was like, can you make me a nose? And he said, "Yeah, sure. What kind of nose do you want?" And he brought like a tub full of noses, and I was looking through there, picking out things. And then he got out some, it's like alcatraz, something. It's like a dentist material. And he put this stuff on my face. That's me. And I've got like gunk on my face, and I got these sticks so that it doesn't go into my mouth. And then it was all hot, and I was sort of leaning back, and it was like going all over my face. So I just lay there. My neck had like a full crick in it. And then he goes, "Okay, you're good. I'm now gonna peel it off." And he sort of goes and reaches into my cheeks, and then with one pulls off this, which is a cast of my nose. My nose was in there. And later that day, I get sent this picture. That's my nose. That's my nose right there. So he'd filled this cast with plaster to get the inverse. And now he can use my nose as a base on top of which to sculpt a fake nose. And then it'll fit snugly onto my own. So now, next time they meet a dwarf or something, I can go and I can put on a dwarf nose. I didn't know you could just do that. That's the coolest thing, right? I really miss being on film sets sometimes because the props would just be amazing. Uh, you know, this guy had like laser guns and swords and stuff in his apartment too, and it was like walking into a props room, but he lived there, and I was jealous. I was like, this is awesome, and I really miss being on film sets. I once made a short film that was about playing D&D, and walking around that place and getting a nose cast done and stuff. I was like, man, I should go make a short film again really soon, and see if he can do makeup for it. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do that, but that was sort of the ideal dream. Walking around in there, I was like, man, I should do that. Anyway, starter set. Maybe I should run this for my dad tomorrow, and See what he thinks. Might have to call him and let him know it's going to happen. Otherwise, the autism that he's not diagnosed with is going to act up. What else do you want to see? More maps? I don't know. I've showed you some maps already. Look at those compass roses. They didn't have to go so hard, but they did. Show you what the species looks like. You can play an elf. It's the elf right there. She's blue. Apparently, there are blue elves in new D&D. Camera's struggling. Here, I'll make it slightly easier for you. God, it's trying its best. You know Druidcraft. God, it's a lot of stuff to put on the back of this. You have a +2 bonus to Wisdom survival checks. So you get proficiency in survival checks, but here it's a +2 bonus. It's a lot of stuff to put on the back of this. Human, likable, +2 bonus to charisma persuasion checks. And they get luck. They basically get luck. This is like a new version of the human. Right? And same with the elf. Like, does the elf normally get cantrips? Maybe somebody in chat can tell me, but... does the elf normally get druidcraft? I don't know. You gain heroic... So the human says you gain heroic inspiration whenever you finish a long rest. That's rules as written. +2 bonus to persuasion checks. Okay. 2 power tokens to fuel your good fortune. You can remove... So they get luck. They just get a whole feat. What does the background give? Also gives you a feat. Sage. Mage hand. You can cast shield. Hermit, combat healer. So utilize action, you could tend to a creature within 5 feet of yourself. That creature regains 1d8 +2 hit points. So that's the healer feat. Guide, you explored the wilderness, blah 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 blah. Guidance and message. Magic initiate feat. Farmer, increase your hit points by 2, so you get tough. But they don't put any header on it. Humans are not likable. Past initiative. When you roll initiative, add 2 to the roll. Criminal. Is that alert? You get proficiency in initiative rolls? I think it is. Why are the elves blue? I think in the new player's handbook there were elves of all kinds of colors. You could be blue elf, green elf. They had all color elves in the art, just like with the tieflings. Speaking of, is there a tiefling? No tiefling. But there are 2 human cards. I hadn't realized that. 2 halfling cards. In case 2 people want to be halflings. 2 dwarf cards. 2 elf cards. You can be blue or brown. Same with the dwarf. It reminds you of the cards from Daggerheart. Did previous starter sets have them too? No. This is new to D&D. I wouldn't be surprised if they were inspired by Daggerheart. I find it hard to believe that they had not already been thinking about this by the time Daggerheart came out. Just by how long it takes to make these things. But I could well be wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if they were inspired. Do no tieflings? Do they even know their demographic? I know, right? Not a single tiefling. I don't know if there's a tiefling NPC either. I'm just flipping through here. No. There's a sort of grayish elf or purplish elf. Elf cantrips already existed, but they're subspecies specific. Do they have subspecies in the new edition? They do, right? On some. They do on the elves, I think. Old Forest. Hell yeah. These little Harain tokens? Cart. Log. Spike. Alright. Somebody in chat, tell me what to do. What do you want to see? You want to see a monster? Do you want to see a look at the books? Anybody got a question? They didn't want to make NPCs that were a species that the players couldn't be. There was a Designer Insights article on D&D Beyond about it. That's fascinating. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I would have been surprised if I'd seen no tiefling species, but tiefling NPC. I know this is off topic, but have you played or do you have thoughts on Draw Steel? Let's play an adventure running the set. Actually, that's kind of brilliant. How many dice does it come with? A full set, but it's 2 d20s and 4 d6. Showed them off earlier. But I know you just came in, Cookie Dude. Nice to see you. I have played Draw Steel, and I have a lot of thoughts on it. I've been meaning to make a review, and I'm kind of waiting for my physical copy of it. So I can do the thing I did with this and sort of show off what's inside and what it looks like. But my sort of hot take is that I don't know that it's tactical because of how heroic it is. It's got those 4 keywords: cinematic, heroic, tactical, fantasy, right? Every fight we did, I was playing. Every fight we did, I was kicking so much ass, I never really had to be tactical. And everybody else had so many cool things they could do, I never planned any tactics because I couldn't figure out what anybody could do or how it worked or why I should be thinking about the tactics of it. So I want to try it one more time. I want to try not playing online, because when I play online, I tend to get really judgmental about things because I generally don't like the experience, oddly enough, of being off camera, but here we are. So I want to play it in person, and I want to get my physical hands on it before I do a full deep dive on what I actually think. There's a lot of meta currency. It's probably too much for my taste. Too much for me to ever adopt it as my main game, personally. But for people who like those things, or people who like if you like Pathfinder, I think Draw Steel is a better version of that game. I think it's a lot more interesting, at least out of my experience. But I've never played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so I probably shouldn't say that either. I don't think I'm allowed to. Have you checked out Nimble 2e? No, I haven't yet. I have it on my hard drive. I was sent it by the creator, and I'm wondering if I'm going to do a playtest or not. I'm interested in trying it. But in general, I talk about this every time we talk about other systems on the channel. In general, I play so many long-term campaigns, and I play them for long periods. And that means that putting in a new system to play is usually difficult for me to just find the time, because I'd much rather be playing our campaign. For example, we just got to a breakpoint in our main campaign, Everlasting, and Kingmaker Everlasting. So the group is now splitting up and we're doing solos. So I'm planning on running, I think, like 10 sessions this month, because I'm running each group individually. But I want everybody to be able to play every week, which means I have to go run 3 sessions a week. If I were doing other systems, I'd have to not do that this month. So for me, typically when I'm trying to play another system, it's like last time we did it was Dragonbane, and what we did is we booked a cabin trip for it, and we made a whole weekend out of it. It was a blast. And that's probably how I'd want to do it if I'm doing draw steel and running it myself, running it in person, which is sort of how I'd want to do it before I do a full review. I'm just toying with this die. Jonathan Frost, that's fair. I tend to think of tactical meaning there's an optimal choice available, and we can figure it out. I often think having initiative and getting rid of initiative makes it less tactical because it matters less who goes next. Right? So if you've got initiative and you're thinking this turn is coming up, therefore it's optimal that we take out that bad guy before he gets a turn. That's tactics. That's moment-to-moment decision making in a tactical game. So, have you heard about Mithras? No. I run my own setting. Sorry, systems. No, I don't know what Mithras is. Adam Duncan, is the new starter set helpful for new DMs who want to create their own adventures? Is it a good model of something you could use and tweak to your own tastes, if that makes sense? No, I don't think so. I think if you get the online copy, if you go get it on Roll20, I think this is a good set for you to read to see how little you actually need to make an adventure. I think that's the if you're a homebrew DM who wants to do loads of homebrew, this here is a whole dungeon. It's called the Goblin Lair. It's one spread. And they have to write out this many words because they assume you don't know what's in their head. So when you go make an adventure, you need less than this. Probably, a quarter of it. This is every dungeon in the module. It's like this. Right? So if you're out there trying to think, oh, I want to make my own adventures, I think reading an official module made me a better designer, made me a better homebrewer. If you're going to run this, and you want to swap out all the hobgoblins for goblins that you made up, and their new stat blocks, well, then you don't get the use of the fancy stat block cards that are in here, right? You don't get use of the tokens if your goblins look different than the hobgoblins, right? So the set sort of assumes you're using the stuff in the box. And if you're going to start using items that are not in the box, then you got to get comfortable with handing one player a +1 plate armor card and handing another player a piece of paper that says, +1 sword or whatever it is you made up. However, if you're going to go homebrew, you can just start. You don't need any of this. You can just go do a setting for free or adventure for free. You can go run All Hail Gek, which is available on the Patreon for free. It's on the Patreon, but it doesn't mean you have to pay for it. It's just where it's hosted. So in general, I don't know. I think if you want to start homebrewing, and what you mean by homebrewing is, I'm gonna run the ogre lair over here, but I'm gonna add some hobgoblins in there, and there are hobgoblins in the set, and you want to use these like toys in a toy box, and grab these hobgoblins and Prowl. You want to take Prowl, have him not just be an abandoned encounter, but add him into the ogre lair. Absolutely, go do that. That is 100% the design intention of a sandbox module like this, is that the individual dungeon locations are so bland that you kind of end up putting a bunch of extra stuff in there, right? So, Adam, if the toy box analogy works for you, and you like the idea of grabbing these and going, I don't know, what if I'm going to add a random monster in here? I'm going to go just split these out. I'm going to pull out a thing. Oh, okay, Vinx is in here. What's a Vinx? I don't know. That's a way to do it. Yana said that he wanted to play an adventure. These adventures don't take that long, and we can do one of them. Hey, Savvy. This is the starter set. If you're just joining us, Yanis in chat said that we should try an adventure. So we're going to try an adventure. I have no idea if that's going to work, but here we are. I'm making a poll. Oh, I just put two options. Hang on, and poll. New poll. Everybody pick a species. Your options are elf, brown or blue, human, dwarf, halfling. Dwarf's ahead in the polls. All right, dwarf. Boy or girl, first one to post in chat gets to pick. Which do you want, boy or girl? Girl. Anna has decided that we're playing a girl. And poll. I'm gonna make a new poll. And you get to pick rogue, fighter, cleric. Rogue, fighter, cleric. Whichever you pick, we'll do a first level character. Rogue's killing it. Nobody wants to be a fighter, apparently. Oh, here we go. Cleric's taking the lead. Look at that. It's exciting. Cleric's winning. Alright. A first level dwarf cleric. Iconic class combo. Something everybody should play at some point in their life. Here's a character sheet. Cleric. How does it work? Well, we take our species card. We put it right here where it says species card. Let's pick a background. First one to say the name of one of these backgrounds in chat decides what kind of background does our dwarf cleric have. Everybody just pick a thing, and the first one in chat gets to decide what background we have. Meanwhile, I'll go flip this one upside down. I'll go end the poll. Cleric 1. Fair and square. Criminal. Criminal. We're going to flip that upside down. So we see here, our size is medium. Dark vision. Sorry, the lens won't be able to capture all of this. Might be able to do a little bit of lens jiggery-pokery. Hang on. Everybody stand by. There we go. A bit more of it should be in focus now. We have dark vision. We have resilience. We have dwarf toughness, so we have more hit points. We have stone cunning. As a bonus action, remove a power token to gain Tremor Sense. So now we have to go get our tokens and our dice. As a dwarf, we start with chain shirt. So we go here. We go find our chain shirt. That goes here. We start with a mace. There's a mace. Dagger. Cultist robes. Those are probably not important. Don't worry about it. Oh, hang on. There's a whole second half of things. Mace. I'm probably not going to bother with these tokens just because I think that would end up complicating it a little bit more. It'd slow us down, wouldn't it? We're going to make a little dwarf lady token. Here she is. Look at that. That's us. Alright. Adventure. Keep. Caves. Wilderness. Stirple. Where do we go? Keep, cave, or wilderness? I'm going to go fetch some power tokens. Even though I said I wasn't going to bother with them. Well, we have 10 hit points because we're a dwarf. We get extra hit points. So where do I see what spells I get? When you cast the spell, it requires concentration. Place a spell card here to show that you're concentrating. Damage, incapacitated, dead. Spell cards, here it is. There's a little thing. I was nervous it was going to have to make me pick somehow, but nope, it's just, you get these. I think that's probably for the best. Luckily for us, I believe they are in alphabetical order. But that's only lucky the first time you do this. Subsequent times will not be as lucky. You're gonna make us start in the keep? Guys, all the loot is in the caves. All the monsters you get to fight are in the caves. Bless. Cure wounds. Guiding bolt. Light. Sacred flame. Shield of faith. Thaumaturgy. Oh, and told it that. Like Gumle the Rotund. People want to see the goats. Alright, that's fair. It's tightening up between the caves and the keep. Last chance for anybody who'd rather do dungeon crawling. But I see the keep is taking a hand. Alright, so here are our spells. We'll do it in that sort of Instagram-friendly way they do all their ads with this stuff, right? Put them around here. Chat Plays D&D. Welcome to Chat Plays D&D, everybody. We're going to the caves. No, the keep. So, this is what you get to see. I'm going to be, hang on. Split cam, there we go. Hello. Welcome. I'm going to be running this, actually, like, right out of the book. Now, here's the thing with your character, chat. You are as good as Gumley the Rotund is, you're playing Chaticus. The how do I phrase this? The Chaticus with no filter? Chaticus the unthinking? Your character does the first thing that comes to their mind. Except if the first thing that comes to their mind is consult the chat, right? So I ask you what you want to do. I read the first message. Whatever the first message is, that's what Chaticus is going to do. Unless the first message is poll. That means Chaticus has to think. What does Chaticus want? What is Chaticus' purpose in life? Chaticus the scatterbrained. That's right, Yanis. Chaticus the scatterbrained. So Chaticus the scatterbrained approaches 2 stone towers that flank an archway leading into the keep. A sturdy-looking gatehouse spans the archway and connects the towers. A wooden drawbridge allows passage over a steep ditch surrounding the keep. The bridge is currently drawn shut. 2 guards stand before the raised bridge as you approach. One of the guards shouts, "Hail! Do you bring peace or trouble?" Chaticus cannot cast Fireball, I'm afraid. This is like a text-based RPG. You have to say the thing that he can do. Yes, it is Hades too. Chaticus gets distracted. Trouble. What happens if they say trouble? I'm gonna see it. This is a good playtest. Chaticus says trouble out loud. Where's the entry screening? This is excellent content. Watch Daði struggle to run an adventure. The guards say, in that case, be gone. You are not invited. Chaticus yells, "Let me in!" I think Chaticus needs to make a roll of some kind. He yells it? That sounds like an intimidation check from Chaticus. With a 6 on the die, plus 2, Chaticus yelling, "Let me in," is not let inside the keep. You're not invited. We want no trouble. Be gone. What does Chaticus do? Chaticus the scatterbrained. At the moment, Chaticus the empty-brained. Bribery. All right. Do you start with gold? You start with 60 gold pieces. How much money does Chaticus offer? Poll. All right. All right. I think Jonathan's right. We'll do a poll. Chaticus can decide to offer all the money, offer a bit of money, or go wander the wilderness. Offer a bit of money? All right. Chaticus is going to offer each of them 5 gold pieces each. But that isn't all the money. And these guards, they're like, they don't want to get in trouble. So Jadakus is going to have to smooze him a little bit. We're going to make a roll out of that. Natural one. Listen, Jadakus. Jadakus the Scatterbrain. This happens every time he enters a settlement. It all goes horribly, horribly wrong, I'm afraid. See, they don't want it. They want all the money, or they're going to put you in jail. Does Jadakus fight, run, or fold? Fight. Oh. Jadakus' scatterbrain seems to... Ooh. God, this is exciting. This is like television. This is great. Fight, run, fight, run. Jadakus' fight or flight response is just a coin that flips every second between the two. He stares at them, nodding, blinking, thinking about murder, thinking about running. Back and forth, back and forth. I'm calling in 3, 2, 1. Run. Jadakus runs away from the guards, entering the wilderness where mysteries await you in an untamed land. Where does Jadakus want to go? You got the keep, the trail, the woods, the fens, Tamarack Stand. Jadakus' scatterbrain must trust in the first thought that comes to his mind. Woods. Very well. Woods. Dappled sunlight trickles through the canopy of this old-growth forest. Felled trees, shrubs, and mushrooms dot the forest floor. Now the DM rolls a die. Interesting. Deep in the heart of the forest, the foliage parts to reveal a tranquil grove where a natural spring burbles. Rays of sunlight create a silvery glow about the crystal-clear pool. Eat the shrooms. Eat the shrooms, he says. 4 diminutive winged warriors flit between the oversized toadstools and mossy logs, firing needle-like arrows from tiny bows. One of them calls out to you, Jadakus. Well met, giant travelers. We're training for battle. Care to spar with us? What does Jadakus do? Does he spar? Does he run? Does he try bribery once again? Spar, says Anna. Alright. Jadakus is going to roll for initiative. Gets a 14 on die, subtracts 1 from his dex, for a total of 13. The sprite tricksters get a 2. There's some modifier, but it's not going to be plus 11, so we'll just pretend like that doesn't matter. And now I need to go get a bit of art. Here's what the sprite tricksters... No. That's a sprite skirmisher. Hang on, is there a typo in here? Or are there 2 different kinds of sprites? It says sprite trickster, and then it immediately says sprite skirmisher. And if there is a bit explaining it, I have lost it in my confusion in trying to roleplay Jadakus the Scatterbrained accurately. Sprite skirmisher. What's he? This says Sprite Skirmisher, which is what it says on the map, on the card here. This says Sprite Tricksters. No good. Alright, it's Chadicus' turn. What does Chadicus the Scatterbrain do on his turn? What about a background feature? Oh, yes, you have even more initiative. And you can swap with the Tricksters if you want, Chadicus. Mace. 17 plus 2 plus 4. That's a hit on the Sprite Skirmisher. And roll for damage. 4 plus 2 for 6 damage. See, I won't be able to do all the tokens on this map. Chadicus charges up to the nearest sprite and deals 6 damage. Chadicus is just alone against 4 sprites. I'm going to make it just be 2 sprites because there's supposed to be a whole party with Chadicus. And I did speak in the plural, so there have to be at least 2. This sprite is going to use its enchanting bow on Chadicus, unless you've got a use for a bonus action, but I don't think so. Bless a bonus action? No. Shield of Faith is a bonus action. Lethal, says Chadicus. That's the first chat that comes up, at least. Shield of Faith, Anna says, before I call the turn, Chadicus' AC is increased by 2. One of the Sprite Skirmishers draws its bow and shoots, and that is a hit on Chadicus' AC of 12. That's not great, Chadicus. That's not great at all. You're a bit shit, aren't you? Well, Chadicus takes 1 hit point of damage, and now, here come the chits. Now we have to go swap out the chits. God. Digging around for the little chits in here. Look at that. Wobbles and trinkets. The other one is going to use its needle sword and try and stab Chadicus with it. 18. That's another hit. For 7 damage. Good God. Chadicus, you're well-bloodied. In fact, I believe we call this, in the industry, we call it right fucked. It's Chadicus' turn, and he is losing against 2 little, tiny little sprites. What does Chadicus do? They're this small, Chadicus. They're this small. Heal time. Alright. Cure wounds. 2d8. 7. Plus 3. Yeah, you're at max hit points, chat. That was your action. Do you have something for your bonus action? I don't think so. Flee? Alright. Chadicus says flee. That's technically a movement, so I'll allow it as a different thing, but that will provoke an attack opportunity. Tap out. Too late. You're already healing and fleeing. Scatterbrain Chadicus. That's a 12, to which it adds plus 6. These guys, they don't mess around. They're here for blood, apparently. Jesus, they deal 6 damage. Now it's their turn, and they're going to try and shoot you with their bow. Now, the bow does way less damage. Miss. Chadicus might live. 11 plus 6 beats an AC of 12 plus 2 for 14. Yes. Chadicus takes 1 piercing damage. And is charmed. No save or anything. You're just charmed. Can't harm these guys. Plus 6 sprites, I know. Tap out, tap out, tap out. Okay. Chadicus surrenders to the tiny little woodland sprites. The sprites, thank you for your spirited participation. They say, this was a lot of fun. We should do it again sometime. You're really weak. I don't know if you're good training on account of being a little bit shit. Classic sprites, you know what they're like. In return, they say, why don't you take this? And they hand you an item. First person to post a number in chat gets to draw the card. $12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Cookie Dude? They give you a cloak of billowing. Whenever you want dramatic effect, it billows for you. You could use a bonus action to make it billow dramatically for 1 minute. Look at that. Hey, Tricky, I love hearing that. Thank you. Keep at it. All right, goodbye, the sprites say as they flutter away, happy with their engagement. Chadicus has just gotten some loot. What does Chadicus want to do next? It was a whole adventure. Or a whole encounter. Right? The idea is that all the encounters are small enough that you could play them in like 45 minutes. Billow the cape. Yes. Chadicus stands there and the cape billows. He also wants to inspect the water. A character who takes... Oh. Do I say this out loud? Yes, I'll just say it since we're doing sort of gamified. A character who takes an action to drink from the spring regains 5 hit points. It looks very refreshing and nice and inviting. There's some more text, but I'm not going to read that part out to you. Sprinkling, glistening. The light on the top glitters in the sunshine. There's a couple of leaves in there, but they sort of float gently on top. A thought enters Chadicus' mind. Maybe the cloak is big enough that we can sneak through the gate pretending to be someone else. Splash. Oh, I forgot to take off a token for the healing bit. You get 5 hit points. Jump inside. You can bathe in the water. That's all fine. Yeah, they're all short. Like you could all of them. I think especially the wilderness encounters, you could play in a fairly short amount of time. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this whole booklet only takes you like if you're especially if you're an experienced DM, this should only take you a couple of sessions to get through. And a fake nose for extra disguise. Yes, I had it made by my friend's dad. Keep it as energy drink. That's good. Well, all right. That's been the starter set, folks. I'm really excited to get my dad hooked on this. All these little tokens and shits. I'm not sure about all of these. It makes me think that you're sort of going to end up pouring them all out. But then again, I don't need anything to write on. It's all just the tokens. So I believe that might be fun. I'm going to have to go put these back in alphabetical order. We survived an encounter with one PC, right? I think it's a blast. Especially like if you're a couple, like this would be great for solo with just me and AB. Like I would love to play through this. I would really love to play through this. Actually, I've read a fair chunk of it, but if you want to make someone stay very special, offer to run this for them solo. I don't think level 1 characters are good for solo adventures. You might just want to start them off at level 3 and or level 2, or maybe start them off at level 2, give them some extra hit points, or let them run a backup character who's their meat shield. You know, they get to play the fun class and somebody else is a fighter. Note this. Or like I said, I was probably going to get a couple of these to give to some nieces and nephews, and I'm probably going to use this to try and get my dad hooked. Yeah, the spell reference cards are great. Just sort of laying it out like this, I feel like this is a really good look overall, I think. What do you think your dad will want to be? Oh, he'd probably want to be a fighter. Probably, I'd assume. Maybe not. Maybe he wants to be a wizard. I'll just have to let him decide. How good are the included maps for tactical play? I think they're really good. I think the wilderness ones, they're basically just big green empty maps. Like I don't think there's much about them in general that is exciting. You know, let me show you one of these. This is the Fens. I think it's got water. That's interesting. They look gorgeous. So I think it's, you know, plenty. It's all you need. How would I go about making the monster card spell cards myself? There are some websites. Yeah, Rachel says the DM's Tavern. Go check them out. They definitely do that kind of stuff. Anyway, that was the starter set. That's where we'll pick it up next time. Thanks so much for watching this stream, which has been brought to you by Wild Magic Reimagined. It's on Kickstarter right now, and just for a few more days, go check them out. The link is in the description. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend. AB, say hi. AB! Oh, she's hooked in. No way. She's killing Kronos or something back there. If you want to support us directly, go check out our Patreon where we post bonus videos like Daði's Diaries, which is where I just go through my notes, and it's sort of live stream, a bit more casual like this, but it's edited so that all the ums and ahs have been cut out. And I show you my notes for my games, I post them so you can read them and have a look at them, and I talk about the campaigns that I'm running and why I'm running them and how I'm running them. I also have a podcast on there with past games I've run, and we obviously do the crafting rules and stuff like that. If you're feeling especially generous, you might like the video, comment, share, or subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos. And until next time, keep studying the mystic arts.